right, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Daily Currency Call with Forex Trading Asia. If you are new, thank you, and welcome back to our regular viewers as well. So it is Friday, guys, and if you are a regular, you do know the routine, but if you're not, this is the Currency Call, and we do present this on a daily basis, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. GMT plus 8. And the currencies we analyze are as follows. So on Monday, we do the Aussie and the Kiwi. On Tuesday, we do the Euro. Wednesday, we do the Pound. Thursday, Yen and Gold. And Friday, today, we'll be doing the CAD pairs and also crypto with Daniel. And it will be Ethereum and Bitcoin in focus specifically with crypto. So this is the Currency Call where you'll get market economic updates, key support and resistance levels, trade ideas, and much more. This Currency Call is going to be very beneficial to both the long-term investors and short-term traders. And here we will be going through what could move prices, possible trade ideas, and highlighting potential targets and risks. A disclaimer as well, so please understand any information shared during this session is not intended to be a trade recommendation. It is solely the opinion and views of the speaker. So please remember to do your own analysis prior to entering any trades. All right, guys. So just to start us off here for today's call, Kim Hong, currency strategist at LCMS Trades, will just be going through the ECB meeting that did take place last night and just explaining what happened, just so everyone can understand and not have to go through the huge report that is presented. So over to you, Kim Hong.
All right, thank you, Scott. Happy Friday, everyone. Okay, so ECB, what went down yesterday? Okay, basically interest rates were held unchanged. Okay, so the three different rates: main refinancing operations rate, marginal lending facility, and the deposit facility rates, all remains unchanged. Okay, now here comes the fun part. The size of quantitative easing remains unchanged. Okay, that means the APP, okay, will proceed at a rate of 20 billion euro per month, okay, while the PEPP, okay, remains at 1,850 billion euro in total, okay, and will be run until at least the end of 2022, or as and when the central bank judges that the pandemic is over, okay. So that's the size of the quantitative easing, okay. The central bank, okay, actually opted for a reduction of pace in the PPP, okay. So what this means is that, so at the moment, I think the central bank, okay, ECB, is actually purchasing some 80 billion euros worth of assets under the PEPP quantitative easing, okay. So they may actually be, they are actually planning to cut down this, the rates of 80 billion per month to, I don't know how much, okay. They did not mention how much, but there are speculations out there that it may be in the range of 50 to 70 billion euros per month, okay. Now, the question that you guys may have in your mind is that, is this considered a tapering, right? I mean, buying less is probably as good as tapering, okay? We actually have an answer for this, and it comes straight from the ECB president, Christine Lagarde, okay? So she made it very clear that this reduction of pace in the PEPP is not tapering, okay? So what it is, it's just a recalibration, okay? That's the term she used, recalibration, okay? So this decision, this whole action, okay, what does it do, right? I quote from her, okay, this is to calibrate the pace of our purchases in order to deliver on our goal of favorable financing conditions, okay? So I believe from time to time, some of the central banks, not all, but some central banks, such as the ECB itself, will recalibrate, okay, the pace of their assets purchases as and when they deem it's important, okay, for them to achieve their goal. All right. So I think she also mentioned that the last time they actually did this slowing down or this recalibration, okay, was I think last March and last December. Okay. So if you guys actually remember, I think the Bank of England actually did something like that a few months ago, okay? And the governor, Andrew Bailey, actually came out and say like, this is not a tapering, right? Guys, this is not tapering. Chill, this is not tapering. This is just some slowing down pace or, recalibration. So I guess these two central banks, they are doing something similar. So initially, okay, upon the release of the statement, right, there was actually a brief strengthening in the euro across the board, all right? So when Christine Lagarde actually clarified during her press conference that this is not a tapering, this is just a recalibration of our policy, unfortunately, euro took quite a bad hit, I would say, right? But throughout the whole session yesterday, okay, overall, okay, this is from a macro perspective, right? Euro was pretty mixed. In terms of the strength, okay, in terms of the direction. We don't see a clear, I would say a clear direction coming from the central bank. It's coming from the euro because of, markets trying to decipher, is this really a tapering or is this not a tapering, right? Yes, Christine Lagarde has said that this is a recalibration, but I mean, how much weightage is this whole calibration in terms of, moving towards the policy normalization, right? So this actually left the market kind of like, not here and there kind of thing, in a very mixed situation, okay? So another thing that Christine Lagarde actually highlighted is the PPP, okay? As you guys know that the PPP will run until at least March 2022. So as of now, March 2022 is the current end date for the program, for the PPP, right? So traders out there, they were actually analysts, okay, the market in general, they're actually curious about, what's going to happen if the PPP is going to end. I mean, after all, they have already been buying some like 800 over billion worth of bonds, right? So if they were to actually achieve that target by March 2022, hence ending the program, what's next? Are they going to further extend this program? How are they going to decide the fate of the PPP, right? So Lagarde actually mentioned that, there's no discussion being taken place this time around during the meeting, okay, among the whole ECB committee members. Such discussion will actually take place during the December meeting, okay? So from now until December, unlikely we are going to hear anything about the fate of the PPP, right? Because, well, there's still like some 6 months to go. It's still a bit early, okay? So that is for the PPP, right? Now, the central bank also released their economic projections, quarterly economic projections. Well, I would say this time around it's quite a positive revision, I would say, right? So as mentioned previously, focus will be on the inflation from now on, right? Ever since the forward guidance has been revised. So for 2021, okay, inflation expectation has actually been revised upwards from the previous 1.9% to a 2.2%, which is slightly above the central bank's target. That's good, right? For 2022, it has been revised upwards as well from 1.5% to 1.7%. And then for 2023, it has been revised upwards to 1.5%. So overall, in the short to medium term of the horizon, okay, we actually see a positive revision to inflation, right? So I think during the previous release of the economic projections, when they actually revised upwards, the market was actually worried about the medium-term to long-term inflation outlook, right? Because yes, there was an upwards revision previously, but it's nowhere close to the central bank's 2% target, right? However, this time around, we are continuing to see an upwards revision in inflation, which means, well, it's good, right? Yes, 1.7 for 2022, 1.5 for 2023 is still below the 2% target. But if inflation were to remain that strong, okay, then we may actually be seeing a further upwards revision during the December's meeting, right? So yeah, that's all for the ECB, okay, for now. They will be holding their next meeting on 28th of October. So unlikely, any mentioning about PPP's fate will take place. And, from here on, I believe the central bank will actually will continue to pay attention, on the current COVID situation in the Eurozone, as well as how inflation will perform from now on, right? Because, if inflation were to remain sustainable, then there will be more convincing to the committee members of the central bank, in terms of maybe consider a tapering announcement. So as of now, I'm still staying with my stand that the central bank may, okay, announce a tapering in December, during December's meeting. Okay, so yeah, that's the end of the that's the last meeting for this week, okay, in terms of central bank, right? So that's all I have to share. Let me see if there's any other. Yeah, there's nothing much more for me to talk about at the moment. Okay, so with that, I will hand it back to Scott.
All right, thank you, Kim Hong, for that. And it doesn't look like there were any questions as well in regards to the chat as well. So sorry if that was distracting. Now, okay, guys, so what I'll do next is go through the US dollar index as well, just to see what happened overnight. So I do have the chart up here. This is the US dollar index on the 4-hour time frame, thanks to Samtrade. And what we are seeing is that we've had a few days now in a row where the US equity markets in particular, the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones have started moving a little bit lower. But in the grand scheme of things, that isn't anything dramatic, but the market has been extremely bullish, and with any slight selling that's a little bit more than anticipated, or essentially the market just not going up every day, if we see a few consecutive days of losing days where it's going down a little bit, the market starts getting a little jittery. But we saw the US dollar pull back as well. I did mention this in yesterday's currency call as well. And there wasn't really a lot of news as well. We did have the initial jobless claims, but we've mentioned this several times that it is a weekly figure, so that's not really substantial. I'll just quickly show you the news with Forex Trading Asia now as well. So this is the economic calendar. So we've got yesterday here. So that was the initial jobless claims. They did come actually at better than expectations, but again, the US dollar had sort of been moving up higher, and that 92.80 really seemed that it was, holding up substantially in regards to selling pressure, and we pushed down from there. Now, we did have a few FOMC members speaking as well. Nothing dramatic out of that either. And this was more of a technical pullback. I mean, to have a catalyst, like I mentioned, to push it through 92.90 and 93 flat would have been quite substantial, and we just didn't see that. So Kim Hong's gone through the main economic events from yesterday. So for today, we do have the GDP out for Great Britain, and Jin went through that in detail on Wednesday with the pound pairs and how to play that specifically. And again, more details are shared in the Traders Club as well on a more regular basis. That's the whole point for us to come and share ideas with you, during the trading session as well. Now, for tonight, we do have the core PPI out, which is always interesting to see if it can come in a little bit higher. But, frankly, the main, focus for today is going to be the USD-CAD, or the CAD pairs, that is. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out, because it all comes out at once, but definitely some opportunities on the USD-CAD. Now, I also just want to briefly share the I've got an article up here as well. So what I'll do, I'll just go to the screen here and I'll just go, there was an article that Jin just posted. Is that coming through everywhere, everyone? It's the QE tapering announcement is likely in November. Now, you're probably thinking when we mention the short-term and long-term investors, and you're thinking, you know, most of it, if you briefly watch the videos, you might just think it's all short-term. But on Forex Trading Asia, there are a lot of articles that are shared, and I strongly recommend you click the breaking news, or you go down and actually click the author themselves, and that will be able to actually take you to specific articles that are written that can help you with your long-term trajectory in regards to, you might be hedging, you might have US dollars in a trading account, such as myself, and you know, I'm still holding that in regards to what's happening with the Australian dollar, because that's my home currency. I'm based in Australia. So definitely a well worth article to read and just catch up on. And, you know, it just helps you get a context of the bigger picture instead of sort of, sometimes it's very difficult to, you know, to zoom out a little bit and you get caught in the mess of things. But in regards to the chart again, guys, just quickly, I'll finish up here on that. I would say that it's a situation where it has pulled back a little bit. Even if we come back down to the 92.30s, that's going to be an interesting point to see if that can coincide with the PPI data coming out tonight, and then maybe a lift higher. But even if we trickle down, if we have a strong equity session tonight, we could see this pull back again to the low 92. So I would say, you know, not time to sell, not time to buy. Just, you know, see which way it starts turning and then wait for, you know, later tonight, 9:30 is when the US equity session opens, GMT +8 time zone. But that is it for me on the index. So what we have now is we have Jin here just to share his thoughts on the CAD situation and any potential trade ideas as well.
All right, thanks for that, Scotty. So good morning, everyone. Good evening, afternoon, wherever you are. Having a lot of fun on the chat there. Before I get into the USCAD analysis, we do have some news to be released later today, and also with the Canadian, we do have the CPI number for next week. So I'll guide you through that. But before we do that, you know, there are a lot of questions about how do you improve as a retail trader, as a part-time trader. What are the steps that you can do? Sure, it's all about, you know, finding the right way to get into a trade. What's a good trade to get into? What is a strategy to get into a good trade? But a lot of it is not just about where to get into a trade, right? It's not just about where to get into a trade. It's also when to get out of a trade. When do you close a trade? A lot of times everyone focuses on getting into a trade, they forget about getting out of a trade. But that's also a third part into how do you improve as a trader. The third part is really to review your own analysis, to review what you have done before, and then also to adjust, to realize what kind of trades that you're more comfortable with, and then to adjust your trades or to adjust your analysis from that point onwards. So this is something that I do quite often for myself, and I'll just share it with you now as well, is that on a weekly basis, what I do is I would go into the charts. For example, with the Aussie US here, I'll go in every week, I'll go into my charts and I'll start looking to think about, you know, my trigger levels. Were they tight enough? Were they accurate enough? My stop loss levels, would they have been reasonable? And then also as the analysis in general, whether it's a sound analysis. So what you see here is just a quick recap of what we've done over the week. The Aussie US on H4 time frame, we're anticipating with the news to be released, it could either at that 7395 level break significantly downwards or upwards. It hasn't done too much. So what you should get at this point is that not a lot of movements for the Aussie dollar. So if you have been hitting out a lot of trades, if you've been doing a lot of trades on the Aussie, it might be a cause of concern. That means that you're trying to squeeze out too many trades. You're forcing trades rather than letting the market tell you what to do. Same thing with the New Zealand US dollar. I was saying that it was going to come down, test the 7073 before bouncing back up. I would say that that analysis is still somewhat valid because it's been testing. It's still testing that support level. I'm just waiting for it to see whether it will bounce up. Given what Scott was just sharing with you about the dollar index, we might see possibly even some weakness for the dollar that could push the New Zealand dollar towards the upside. I'm super happy about the Euro US, where I did the analysis saying that it would test 1.19. Hasn't done that too much, but it has come down almost towards, at that point, as I was saying, selling opportunity, almost towards the 1.1766 level. It's got down about that 70 pip towards the downside for the euro dollar. Euro pound has moved exactly as planned. When I shared with you this on Wednesday, we said that if it breaks below that 8580 level, it would go towards that 8538 support. It's done that exactly, and at that point I would say if you haven't jumped into the trade, it's too late now. It looks like it's going to be supported at this point. I'm anticipating a next move, so the next analysis should come in for the euro pound. Following on from that, the pound dollar, look at that. That's moved picture perfect, tested 1.3747 and bounced up towards that 1.3870 resistance level. Okay, so this is where you look at it and go, okay, I'm happy with my analysis. It jumped a little bit earlier than anticipated, but with that trigger levels, with anticipating those price levels that I want to be looking to buy, I would still have caught on to that trade. So gaining that confidence in your analysis is actually very crucial when you're trading, especially when you're sitting alone trading at home. The US yen, same thing, came down towards the 109.76 level at the support level right now. I think that we might see a little bit of a bounce up, but because we're towards the end of the week, I would say leave that possible next trade towards next week as a next week's adventure from that point. Euro yen didn't move across as much, but has gone down to exactly what we were saying. I didn't think that it would go all the way to that 100 pips, but it has come down that 50 pips, which I highlighted to you. That was your 1:1 risk reward ratio towards the downside for the euro yen. And then pound yen, look at this. Shared with you this yesterday, saying that there was possibly some good opportunities. Straight away, almost straight away, we've seen that 50 pip move upwards. I think that we might see some further upside at this point, but be careful what happens at about 152.28. If it does break above, then we could see further upside, but you probably have to wait for that trigger level before you want to jump into any trades from this point onwards. So this is very quickly how you should be taking on your improvements towards your trading journey. Not just focus on where to get into a trade, not just think about how much profits or worst case scenario losses that you've made when you exit the trade, but the improvement comes when you're reviewing your analysis, reviewing your trigger points, reviewing all the work you have done for the week. That's where you really see that improvements and that consistency in your trading in the longer term. So with that said, moving on towards the analysis on the USCAD. Where is it? Here again, looking at forextradingasia.com, the economic calendar is there. Today being Friday, we have a whole bunch of news, as we were saying. A lot of pound news, shared with you that yesterday, 2 days ago already. A lot of other news, but the main focus is the Canadian employment change, looking to go from 94K to 100K. Not a big employment change number here expected for the Canadians. But what you look at is the unemployment rate expected to go from a 7.5 to a 7.3%. So if this 7.5 does go to 7.3, that indicates that unemployment rate is getting better. indicates that maybe more people are going to work, more people looking for work is being employed, which actually will show that the economy is cutting back on some of that slack, with moving a little bit towards the full, well, not full employment, but it's getting in a better scenario in terms of its employment numbers. So overall positivity for the Canadians if we do see it go from about a 7.5 to a 7.3. In this case, I think that we might even see a 7.2. With that in mind, the next thing to pay attention to is next week. I'll scroll through very quickly next week. You'll see that we do have a lot of news next week. So make sure, if you don't know what's going to happen in the news, make sure you turn up for this Zoom call where we have all the pound and Aussie and Euro news to be released. US CPI numbers, that's going to be crucial to see what happens there for the US dollar. But looking at the pound, looking at the CAD, where is it? Okay, we have the CAD CPI number next week. CPI looking to go from a 0.6 to a 0.3% month on month. So we're looking at a possible drop in CPI numbers, in inflationary numbers, year on year, looking to go from a 3.7 to a 3.4%. So turning back a little bit, economy slowing down a little bit, possibly catching back up. So, you know, it was going very well before, now tuning back a little bit. So all that put together, what you should be looking out for in the charts here, USCAD on the H4 time frame. This big shoot up was because of the Bank of Canada news. It's tested at 1.2747 level before retracing back down now towards that 1.2613. So given that I'm anticipating good employment numbers for Canada, what I think we could see is that downward move for the US CAD, testing the 1.2613 level. Okay, testing the 1.2613 level. What you should be looking for is possible selling opportunities below this point. So I'll move this line down and say you could be looking for selling opportunities below this 1.2613. For example, to sell at 1.2595, stop loss 30 pips, take profit level towards this week's starting point or last week's low at about 90 pips. So you're risking 30 to make 90. This would be a 1:3 risk reward ratio towards the downside, looking to sell when it breaks 1.2613. Okay, so looking at that, I think that we could see it move some strength for the Canadians, a little bit of weakness to continue for the dollar, breaking that 1.2613 at about 1.2595, 30 pip stop loss, 90 pip take profit level towards the downside. What I anticipate next week is that at this point, we could probably see it again climb back up to the 1.2613 and possibly even beyond that point, similar to what happened for this week, where it's done that point and bounced straight back up again. That's also because of the CPI number that we were just talking about. So short and sharp, Canadian analysis done, how to review your own trades and your own analysis. If you have any questions, Traders Club members, make sure you ask them in the club platform. I'm seeing a lot more activity there, so super happy about that. With that, I'll pass it back to you, Scott.
All right, thank you, Jen. Now, guys, if you did miss Gim Hong at the start here, I'll just quickly share the screen and just touch base on the YouTube channel. So if you haven't already, I would strongly recommend that you do check it out. The links have been shared in the chat as well. So let's say you're looking as a beginner to learn. I would say your first point of call would be the 4-day Forex Kickstarter course. There are quite a few videos here as well, but they're a little shorter than the original version. So they're broken down into 46 episodes, all titled as well. Now, we also have the daily currency call uploaded pretty much soon, straight after the call, so you can check out the full currency call. Kim Hong does his breaking news analysis as well. So we've got separate playlists for whatever you're looking for, the trade ideas as well that Jin or myself or Daniel will go into, and also Kim Hong shares his ideas too on higher time frame, sort of more set and forget setups. And then we also have the education section as well. And then we also share some high income skill material that will go into detail about what the LCMS Traders Club is and what the indicators are that we use. And we also have the testimonials for anyone looking to see what the clients have to say about ForexBriefcase as well, which is the managed account trade for you service too. So what we have up next is Daniel will be going into detail about what is going on in the crypto scene right now for Ethereum and Bitcoin, and any potential trade ideas as well. So over to you, Daniel.
Hey, thanks, Scott. So yes, so anybody who's trading in crypto, I saw some putting up, say, probably trade cryptos. Yes, this week has been a really exciting week. You know, what happened, you know, on Tuesday, you know, if everybody was looking at crypto, fantastic. There's a big drop. Hopefully we're not there then, but there was a big drop, and for the Bitcoin and all throughout all the cryptocurrencies. Now, what happened? Unfortunately, you know, it seems to be quite related, because the timing was so nice that it coincided, this dip, I would call it dip, is coincide with the El Salvador controversial acceptance of Bitcoin for their legal tender as country, right? You know, everybody was expecting a real strong demand for that. Unfortunately, there was a dip coming in. You know, perhaps those who have Bitcoins were trying to sell it off to get hard cash. You know, at that point in time, it was everybody's guess, because, you know, El Salvador was giving free Bitcoin to all its citizens there, and the app crashed. You know, so that could what has happened. But more or less have seen a really very nice. Let me zoom it out here. You know, previously we'd always talked about the 45,000 key level support, and indeed, even if it dipped there, very happy to see that it has been supported really very nice at the 45,000 level range. Now, what's going to happen now is that, right, what's happening, people are watching right now, more or less have been stabilized around the 46,000 level range. There, you know, some people say it's a flag. It could possibly, you know, where people are saying like this. Let me show it to you. You know, there were a lot of analysis coming in saying this is going to be a triangle or flag, you know, or you know, all sorts of patterns coming in, and it's going to break downwards towards the 30,000 level range. Now, let me tell you why. Because the last time it broke down there, you can see, if I zoom it out a little bit more, you can see here when it reached that, there was a big dip, and I call it some big downturn that came down at the 30,000 level range, was when China stopped all the minings. You know, they give a legislation, they don't want any of the minings, crypto minings in the country there. So then that's where the big dip came in. Of course, the demand came back up. I think it's firmly believed that the miners actually just shift their operations out of China and really started to build up in other countries already. So my thought was that, would it break down below the 45,000 level range? Personal opinion is I don't think so. I think it's going to hold on there, and I think the demand will come in, pushing up towards the 50,000 level range, coming back up. Okay, but of course it's anybody's guess, so we always have to be prepared. So if it does break down and close below the 45,000 level range, then we have to be careful. There is a possibility of pushing all the way to 30,000 level range. Right now, I don't think so. It's really supported over the weekend, right? I think the weekend will be a good time to take a look. I don't think it's going to happen. More or less stabilized already, and I believe it will slowly move up towards the 50,000 level range. Okay, so this is my personal opinion on what's happening on the Bitcoin. Now, Ether is going to be very interesting. Every crypto is having the dip, right, on Tuesday, following the big brother, the Bitcoin. Now, what it is there, again, really very nice, supported at the 3,300 level range, Hope you did look to buy here. I think this is a good buying range. Bitcoin is a bit subjective right now, but I think Ether has a lot of usage for the NFT tokens and many more. Lots of interesting supply. So looking at it right now, it is having a real nice consolidation raise here. You know, and if I look at the 4-hour chart, you can see really very nice consolidation now while everybody's waiting there. So I'm going to wait for this consolidation here. And if it breaks above outwards, if those who are looking for trading purposes, okay, let me zoom out. Sorry, zoom out here. If any breaking purposes, breakout of this zone like 3,000 above 3,520. Let me give a good number here. Break and close above 3,550. Let's go for a good number there. You know, where all the tails are there. If you close above this nice level of consolidation, I believe so, we could be looking for a continuation of pushing up of the the prices of Ether. And where I would think it will go up right now, again, similar. It probably be looking at pushing above 3,550, going all the way maybe towards to this level of about 4,000. Okay, a 4,000 level range with the previous high peak there. So looking at it, of course, you don't have to wait for it to reach 4,000. You know, if you are trading, then you could be looking to take a quick quick profits from there. But looking at it, I think the long-term movements will be moving to a 4,000, and we'll be looking if it breaks above the 4,150, which is the last time high since 10th of May, where a lot of fuel and applications are start to come in. We're going to see what's going to happen. But right now, 4,000 level range is a key level that everybody is looking out for. So watch out for this coming in. For what I'm seeing right now, most likely they are letting the dust settle right now for whole of crypto. It'll probably be moving across. Most of the currencies are moving across. You have other currencies coming in, speaking a lot like Cardano, Solana, and a few others coming in very, very popular right now. So you can look at it. My advice is keep looking at the Bitcoin and Ether with the top two cryptocurrencies, and you're able to see a trend coming in. So that's all for me, Scott.
All right, thank you very much for that, Daniel. And just briefly, guys, as well, just to finish off, I have shared some links for the Traders Club. And the last link I shared there was for the 5-step checklist as well. A really important YouTube video to watch just on the channel. We'll go through how to actually apply the methods that we use at LCMS Traders to find good quality setups as well. And also, again, if anyone is interested, we do offer a managed account service as well. We've nearly returned 100% in 3 years as well. I'll just send that link one more time as a reminder. So I hope everyone has enjoyed the currency call this week. Again, please don't hesitate to ask any questions as well. If you've got something that you've seen and you don't quite understand, we're here to help. And again, make sure you catch the currency call on Monday. We've got the Aussie and the Kiwi in focus as well. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I hope everyone has a great rest of the week and the weekend. Bye.